Sonic CD is usually not the first Sonic game to come to mind when you start to talk about the classic 2D Sonic games. Well, we all know there's that one guy, but before he starts commenting on the video, let's go ahead and forget about him and take a look at Sonic CD. Before getting into anything else, why is Sonic CD forgotten? Like, why doesn't anybody ever talk about it? Well, generally that's because the game is bad and forgettable, but Sonic CD is a different case. Of course, the fact that it doesn't have a number or a Knuckles after it like the other Sonic games already causes it to be more forgettable, but also as opposed to releasing on the Sega Genesis, as the name implies, Sonic CD was released on the Sega CD. Because of this, significantly less people had the chance to play Sonic CD, and on top of that, Sonic 3 came out just 4 months after. It's not any one of these things that made it obscure either, but the combination of all of that, on top of the fact that it wasn't really groundbreaking for the most part. It did introduce Metal Sonic and Amy, but with there being a huge lack in Sonic's story at this point, no one would have questioned if they showed up in any of the Sonic games. But despite the game's obscurity, I found out about this game as a little kid by seeing the anime intro cutscene in the Sonic Mega Collection. I had no idea what this game was from, all I knew is that it was really cool. Though maybe it did say it was from Sonic CD, but I really have no idea. Considering all the games that had anime sequences in the 90s, it's surprising that this is easily one of the best, if not the best one. But of course, people don't play games for the intro cutscenes, and as a matter of fact, Sonic CD was aware of this, so other than the first anime intro cutscene, there's no story, you're just thrown into the game. Now, normally this would be perfect, just like how all the other Sonic games back then were, but there is a slight problem being this game is really confusing and actually does need a little bit of story. If you play this game for the first time, you'll soon notice that you ran into some sign and managed to travel into the future or the past, depending on the sign you ran into. Why is Sonic going back in time? What does going back in time do other than changing the appearance of the level? Well, no one knows, because most people played the game either through the Sonic Gems collection or the 2011 port like me, meaning you probably aren't going to read the instruction manual if I had to guess. I didn't either, and maybe the instruction manual doesn't even tell you anything in regards to the story, but if I had to bet, I'd say it probably does. But anyway, none of that matters, as you're able to complete the levels in any time period, and you're going after the dastardly Dr. Eggman, which should be all you need to know going into a Sonic game. Despite that, a lot of people were really upset at how confusing the game was, which is understandable, but I think a lot of the bad reviews for this game have to do more with the confusion that the game had than it actually being bad. By confusion, I don't necessarily mean they still didn't know how the game worked by the end of it, but more that they were upset or annoyed once they got confused or tried to figure out how everything worked, and the rest of the game was a downward spiral. There's nothing wrong with that point of view in a review, but as someone who enjoyed classic Sonic games and never had a chance to play this one, I surprisingly enjoyed it a ton. I do know this game is flawed though. I don't think it's the best Sonic game by any means, but I really do think that it lives up to his name as a hidden gem. But enough waffling about the game's entire life history, it's time to play the darn thing! When I said the first thing you'll notice about this game as a first-time player is the time-traveling mechanics, I lied. It's actually this really cool 3D ramp that only ever happens like one other time, I think. This was just to show off the Sega CD's hardware, and arguably that's the point of the entire game. But since it's currently the year 2021, I physically could not care less about the hardware of the Sega CD, so all I know that in terms of a Sonic game, it's pretty fun. The colors are very vibrant, but I think the stages have a really nice color combinations that make them all memorable. The purples, the pinks, and the blues are slightly jarring, but I really do like looking at them, and I do have an official certificate from Adobe of Photoshop Graphic Design Mastery, so I can't be completely wrong here. Also, I am personally a huge fan of sprite work to the point where I prefer even how good NES games look to bad or bland looking newer games. The background sprites are also amazing as they usually are in Sonic games, and the amount of moving layers they have in the background is pretty impressive, so maybe that's some of the Sega CD hardware they're talking about. I of course wouldn't know because this was on a PC. Despite it being pretty, the core mechanics are kinda confusing. Instead of the levels being more linear, they're extremely vertical and encourage a lot of backtracking and exploration. As a huge Metroid fan, I like this, but like, this is no Metroid game. There are a lot of cool hidden secrets and stuff, so if you enjoy that kind of thing, then you'll really enjoy Sonic CD. The problem a lot of people have though is that there's basically no reason to backtrack. Like, ever. Not only can you beat all the levels just by holding right and ignoring everything, but in doing so, the levels are extremely short. If you like this kind of thing like me, then this is actually cool. Optional exploration is the best kind, except a lot of the best parts of this game are in the optional areas. I'm not gonna go too much into that just because we'd be here all day, but if you ever play it and have time, I suggest exploring around. But the reason a lot of people hate the optionalness of the exploration is because if you do explore and backtrack, it's probably because you're trying to go back to the past to destroy the robots, because the way to get the good ending is by going back in time and destroying these robot things in order to secure a better tomorrow. But also, you could just get 50 rings and do the bonus stage, because that gives you all the Chaos Emeralds, so like most people just do that. The bonus games are pretty fun, but I still prefer the one from Mania. though that isn't a fair comparison, I guess. But back to the regular gameplay, most people also have trouble getting to the past, but that's because it's hard. I'm not sure why there isn't some extra incentive like, I don't know, maybe turning into Super Sonic for killing all the robots in the past, but if there was, I think it would be worth it. There's just not really a payoff for dealing with all the extra obstacles put in the way of going for the extra ending as opposed to just getting the rings, or downloading a YouTube video. Clearly Sonic CD is different from all the other classic Sonic games, which probably did contribute to it being so forgotten about, so it's understandable that people didn't like the game as much, but I really do think if you go into the game with an open mind, then you'll enjoy it a lot more than you expect. Especially if you don't care about the story like me and you just speedrun the game in less than an hour and a half on your first blind playthrough. Let's take a look at all the levels the same way I did the first time I ever played, which was completely oblivious to the story. The first level is Green Hill Zone, Palm Tree Panic Zone, which is like Green Hill Zone except for instead of checkerboards on the hills, you have triangles. I had a lot of fun with these levels, and after playing them, I felt good about how the game controlled, which is a lot more than I can say about some Sonic games. It's certainly no Sonic Mania, but I wish I did play this game as a kid because it's way easier to beat than the original, so I probably would have really enjoyed it. Oh, and because of all the bright and pretty colors. Collision Chaos Zone is the next zone, and there are a lot of these alleged bright and pretty colors. The level wasn't the best Sonic level I ever played, but it was a breeze to go through aside from these weird bumpers, but it was still fun. Tidal Tempest Zone is yet another Sonic water level that I didn't hate, which is really giving me an identity crisis during the Sonic Marathon. There were air bubbles right where they needed to be, and you really didn't have to be underwater for very long, which is what all the water levels should make the #1 priority. Less water. Quartz Quadrant Zone has colors that make me happy to look at. It reminds me a lot of Crystal Snail or whatever his name is from Mega Man X2, except I actually think that this looks better in terms of the colors and background sprites, which is surprising because like Mega Man X2 is way better. A big complaint is that the zones in Sonic CD aren't real places or something, but like, why does it have to be a real place? Why can't Sonic go through this crystal-ridden cave on his way to stop Dr. Eggman? Since when did people care so much about these little details in Sonic games? Anyway, Wacky Workbench Zone is the next zone, and this was probably my least favorite one, though I don't even think it was that bad. It was just slightly bland and forgettable, though the dark blues do look really good, and again, if you're ignoring the story, you can get through it really quickly. Another thing I've seen people complain about gameplay-wise is the fact that when trying to go through the levels quickly, you can oftentimes run into enemies on springs that knock you off track. But like, this is a Sonic game, that's what you're supposed to be dodging, those are the obstacles, what are you talking about? Every time I hear someone complain about a spring stopping them from going fast, this is what I hear. Stardust Speedway Zone is the next zone, which is featured in Sonic Mania, and this level is one of the best ones in the game. The music is cool, the level is cool, the boss is cool, everything is just cool, which is exactly what a 90s Sonic platforming game should be all about. Finally, the game ends off with Metallic Madness Zone, which was also in Sonic Mania, and once again features Mini Sonic! Other than the difficulty going up tremendously and, well, Mini Sonic, there isn't too much to talk about, but I do like those background sprites though. Another highlight of this game in my opinion were the bosses. Not only were they all really unique, but these are some of the most creative boss fights I've ever seen in any Sonic game. Running on a treadmill so that it grinds the bottom of Eggman's machine while he throws bombs at you, getting through a pinball bouncing hitbox obstacle course, racing Metal Sonic, fighting Eggman while he drops spikes on you, racing Metal Sonic. I think it's clear at the very least, this game is really cool even if you don't personally enjoy the gameplay, but luckily this is my channel, so I get to say the gameplay is good. Final word, comments are now disabled. This video was kinda short, much like Sonic CD, but the game was the perfect Hidden Gem Sonic game if you're asking me. And with that being said, I'll leave you with these final words. Sonic CD? More like Sonic CD's nuts. Me and this Michael Jamal come back.